And we're going to talk for about the next 10 minutes or so about the power of building intentional pauses into your day and how doing so not only impacts you personally, but it also impacts everyone around you. So when you show up calm, clear, and centered, your influence expands exponentially, more than we even give it credit for. And so today's spotlight session is going to focus on those intentional pauses. And I am a firm believer that when you reset, everyone around you feels it. You know what I'm talking about? When you reset, it impacts everyone that you influence. So I want you to think about it. What if your peace isn't just a private, personal practice? What if it is the ripple effect that changes how you speak, how you listen, and how you respond every single day? So it wasn't that long ago that Danielle and I hosted the Reignite and Reclaim Summer Reset. Gentle nervous system resets and how that can impact your entire day. And wouldn't you know it, that in the following days, that theme has come up over and over and over again. The idea of our own quiet moments, whether it's in conversations, it's in my coaching calls, or just in my own quiet time. You know, it's like a divine echo. What you say, what you do, just echoes, and it carries farther than you may even know. So the practices that I want to talk to you about today are just very similar to the ones that we talked about in that summer reset. And so, you know, and it's really interesting when I think about this topic, and it makes me smile because I have been teaching these strategies for decades. The principle of these intentional calming things and how it impacts you, it impacts your siblings, it impacts your children, it impacts everybody. It really does. And in the classroom, emotional regulation was not just something nice to focus on. It was a matter of daily survival. And working with children with special needs, especially those who have emotional needs, you know, emotional issues, behavioral issues, it was essential. So on a regular basis, every single day, several times a day, we practiced breath breaks and using sensory tools. And I learned the importance of building transitions into our everyday routine. And it made such a difference over the years, you know, with my students, and even these kids would start using these tools at home, and it was helping them at home. And you know what is such a beautiful part of all this is that these same tools that I used over the years with my kids in the classroom are the tools that work for us grown-ups. You know, in the Reignite and Reclaim Summer Reset, and I'll put the link down below if you'd like to catch the replay of that, we practice the adult versions of grounding between meetings, between projects, using breath work to reset yourself after hard conversations or before you have to have a hard conversation. Even simple sensory anchors like walking outside, diffusing essential oils. There's so many different ways that you can reset your system, because peace is not about ignoring everything that's going on and trying to stay calm. It really is about moving through even the tough times with intention. But let's be honest, even people like me who utilize these strategies for years, and I teach the idea of staying calm when things get rough or get confusing or throw you out of sync, I can even lose my grip at times. And I'm just wondering, can you relate to that? Even though you know that it's better to respond than to react, have you ever forgotten that? When you had a messy moment, when things just fell apart. And you know what I'm talking about. Maybe family tensions. You know, you have an adult child. They call you, they're in crisis. And instead of responding calmly, you kind of blurt out your own advice or your frustration. And before you even listen to the whole story, you just kind of put it all out there, you know? That's a messy moment. Or maybe in the workplace and you're in a meeting and someone questions a decision that you've made, or they dismiss your input, or they immediately go, you might immediately go into defense mode. You snap back or you shut down. Maybe that's something that you've experienced recently. Or let's think about being a caregiver and the overload that can come when you are managing appointments and errands and you are in charge of someone else's needs. And when your partner asks you a simple question, all of a sudden you explode in irritation, not because of what they've said or what they ask, but because it's just gotten messy, this caregiving. It's gotten messy, and you just, for some reason, forgot your calm. And you know what? There's another one. Think about social expectations. Like maybe you agree to be a volunteer or to do something for someone else. And you've already agreed to the event and you really don't have the energy to do it. And you become resentful, really. And you've kind of complain instead of setting that clear boundary up front. It does happen. It certainly happens. And so, and just in the everyday grind, I mean, really, do we really need to have an excuse for going off the rails? Not necessarily. Sometimes it just happens. You know, you have a very busy day, you hit traffic, or, you know, you were late getting out of the grocery store or whatever it is. And instead of pausing, you just lash out to whoever is nearest to you. And it happens. And it's in these moments that your reset routine vanishes. Poof, it's gone. You know what I'm talking about. It happens. And all those tools that you know and you love and you've learned, they get buried under stress, under urgency, under self-neglect. And these are those forgetful moments where peace feels out of reach. But you know what? These are the exact moments where your breath work, your grounding, your intentional pauses could completely shift the outcome. We don't need to know the tools. Just know what they are. We need to build them in before life hijacks our peace. It's not enough to just know what you need to do. It's doing it. So let's just pause here for just a minute. Think about this. When you reset, you are modeling for other people, for the children in the family, your students, if you're an educator, your clients, your co-workers. You're modeling that peace. When you ground yourself, you are inadvertently de-escalating the tension all around you without even saying a word. It is that powerful. And when you pause, just you, when you pause in the midst of all the messiness, you give everyone else permission to do the same, to breathe. That's what the ripple effect is, because peace is contagious. And I don't mean in a fluffy way. I mean in a real leadership-driven way. And you might not consider yourself a leader, especially if you may be retired now or whatever. But you know what? We are all self-leaders. We are self-leaders. And so the big shift that I want us to think about today is to stop treating peace like a reward, like something you've earned, and start using it as a strategy. Learn how to pause for the moment, in the moment. Think about it. What's one area where your calm could ripple outward this week? Think about maybe something that happened in the last few days, or something that you're going to be facing in the next few days. Think about it. What's one area that your calm could ripple outward? And you can type it in the comments if you want to, or just write it down and think about it. Who would feel the difference if you showed up grounded instead of reactive? If you showed up calm instead of overextended? If you showed up in a way that surprises them? You're not distracted. You're not on edge. You're showing up in real time, in real calm. So I want you to think about that. Take about 30 seconds and jot it down. Or maybe just close your eyes right now and imagine the ripple effect. Imagine it just spreading farther and farther. So here is what I want you to remember. Your reset, your peace, it's not just for you. It is a leadership act, an act of self-leadership. And today, if something that we talked about sparked something for you, then I want you to go check out the events tab in our group. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go to the Facebook community, Essentials for Peace and Balance, and check out the events tab, because I will be starting the Threads of Change series. And we're going to go deeper into what I've talked about today. And it's going to be 6 weeks beginning on Monday, August 25th. And we are going to explore little shifts that create massive ripples in clarity, in calm, in confidence, in self-expansion. So make sure that you are signed up for these weekly sessions. I'll put the link down below so that you can get the reminders sent to you in your email, and all of the complimentary resources that will be available. So, as we sign off, I want you to take this with you today. When you reset, everyone wins. Peace isn't selfish, it is strategic. Say that over and over again and type it in the comments. Peace isn't selfish, it's strategic. And today, let your calm create ripples. My friend, I am cheering you on always. Blessings and bounty. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.